sort of our McWorld, but sort of.
Everything is our McWorld because we're living our McWorld.
It's our whole life.
Our whole life is our McWorld. But also, this in particular is our McTravels.
Welcome to our new YouTube channel.
Yay!
This is where we are dedicating this channel specifically to travel-related content. By the time this video comes out, we'll have had several more our vlogs from the trip we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
So you can watch the vlogs and then come watch this, which is going to kind of be our recap overview of the trip.
Yeah.
And tips, things that we learned doing this trip.
Yeah, so that you hopefully don't make the same mistakes we did and also get some of the same benefits we did.
Yeah. And you can also read more about this, about the trip, individual destinations, and everything else on our blog at ourmctravels.com.
Yeah.
So go check that out too.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about our trip, our road trip through South Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana, and kind of Idaho.
Yes. Briefly, Idaho.
So we're going to start with, I guess, go destination by destination. So we started in South Dakota. So we got up early in Atlanta. We flew the airport, despite it being like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Was really busy, as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And then we flew to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Well, first we flew to Chicago.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And when we got to Chicago, we got there like 45 minutes early, which I think we said in the earlier video, but then they were like, we can't go to our gate. So we thought, okay, that's fine. You know, we're early. No. So, because see, we got there, I think we had gotten there like 20 or 30 minutes before we were even supposed to get there. And then we were supposed to have like a 30-minute or more layover.
Yeah.
No. So then we had to run to our gate, basically. We power walked, but it was like running.
And it was like so far.
Yeah.
Across through there to where we needed to be.
Yeah, I wish I had turned on my watch thing and like track how far we went, because it seemed like forever, but also we were panicked and thinking we were going to miss our flight and everything else, so you know, it was definitely far though, regardless.
Yeah. We did make it, and so we made it to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, our first stop, and there was no one in that airport.
No. We
got past a certain point, and we literally saw like no people.
They had a sign that said, restaurant, singular.
Just one.
Yeah. So, but they did have like a little food court, I think, but
yeah.
At first we were like, what? Because our hotel was attached to the airport, and everybody said on there, it's quiet for being attached to an airport. I was like, they got 6 gates. Yeah, I mean, so, you know, here I'm thinking like, I mean, I don't really know what I expected, but.
Yeah, and they didn't really do like overnight flights or like really late flights, so that really while you were sleeping, no planes were coming in or out anyway.
Right, yeah.
But it was a nice hotel that we stayed in, and it was good. So at Sioux Falls, the main things are, we were only there for a day, a full day, but we wanted to go to Falls Park and see the waterfalls, which we did. We didn't have any footage of that for the vlog because I don't know why. I thought that I had some and I couldn't find it, so I don't know what happened to it.
It's lost in the cloud.
But it was really pretty, the falls were. It wasn't, the water was really murky looking, and there was kind of trash in certain places, which was kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
Don't litter.
Yeah, don't litter. But it, overall though, it was really cool. The rocks in there are pink quartzite, and then we just kind of, there were some places nearby, like a little shopping center thing that had a brewing company called Severance Brewing. We went in there and kind of did a flight, and we just kind of walked around, and you know, in general, Sioux Falls is really not that big.
No, they had a sculpture walk which was kind of neat, where you could see all these sculptures up and down the street, which is kind of where the shops were.
Yeah.
So you could see art while you were browsing.
Yeah. So that was cool. So check that out too when you go.
Now, if you like to bike, they have something called the Greenway Trail, and it like makes a loop around the whole city. Well, we were going to walk because we didn't have a car. So we took a rental car, which took forever to get, which is something we'll talk about in a minute, I guess. But, so we decided, we went downtown, we got, went to, I think they dropped us off at a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
And then we were like, we're going to walk to the park.
Yeah.
Well, we took off on the Greenway Trail, which, by the way, is mostly for biking.
Yeah.
So we kind of kept having to step off the trail.
Yeah.
But we went in the wrong direction. For about 30 minutes, we walked in the wrong direction. So it took us longer than it should have to get to the park.
Yeah.
So make sure you're going in the right. I mean, it does make a loop, but you don't necessarily want to walk the whole loop. Biking it might be one thing, but...
Yeah. Just use Google Maps because... Yeah, when we started out there, I think we may have covered this, I'm not sure, but when we were trying to find a rental car, so we flew out there on Memorial Day. So when we were trying to find a rental car, everything was costing like $8,000 or $9,000 for a 2-week rental car.
Which is insane.
Yes, and it was kind of in the middle of a rental car crisis, but still. So we remembered that another travel blogger had said it was always cheaper if you could rent away from the airport. Mm-hmm. So we found an enterprise just in Sioux Falls that we rented our car from, and we were able to get it for a lot cheaper than that. It was still pretty expensive, but in our experience, anytime you pick a car off and leave it somewhere else, the drop fee is like half of what you pay.
Yeah. It's really, and I know they have to transport it back. But you want to know what? I was looking at rental cars in Europe one day. To pick it up in one country and to leave it in another country was like for 2 weeks was like $500 total.
Yeah.
So not even $1,000 for 2 weeks. You're not even leaving it in the same country.
Yeah.
What's up, America?
Right. Of course, really, it'd probably be about the same distance between the two countries as it was between the states. We were picking it up and leaving it in, but still.
That is not the point.
Not the point. And so we did that, and that saved us some money. So just kind of try to remember that if you can. The problem with that was, of course, that the standalones were closed on Memorial Day. So that's why we couldn't pick it up the day we got out there. And then... But, of course, we're used to everywhere we go, and there's plenty of rideshare opportunities.
Not here.
Not the case in Sioux Falls.
They have like 5 drivers total, maybe.
Yeah.
We had the same driver twice, which has never happened.
No.
And the first one we had to wait on. I mean, we had one we had to cancel because they never came.
We waited for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, on the other. When it kept telling us it would be 15, 20 minutes, and then it kept going up and back down, up and down. And the first guy never showed, so we were like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So beware if you're going to smaller towns, or really that's like the biggest town, I think, in the state.
Yeah.
But when you go to the more rural areas, they don't really have as good of or as many ride shares. So don't really count on that.
Right.
As much. So hopefully you'll be able to get a rental car.
Right.
The rental car actually ended up costing us more than everything else. It was even more than our flights, which is typically the most expensive thing.
Yeah.
And I mean,
we ended up paying, I think, about $1,800 for the rental car total, which half of that was the drop fee.
Yeah.
Also, that was for a Toyota Camry.
Yeah, so
And we had booked a size smaller car, but they didn't have any of those when we showed up to pick it up, so we got upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's not like we were trying to rent like a Lexus or an Escalade or anything like that.
So if you need like an SUV or a van, I don't know how the prices are now because this was about 8 months ago, I guess.
Right.
But still.
Yeah, it was plan ahead. That's the tip.
We get a little more on the rental car later.
Yeah.
otherwise, I mean, that was mostly it in Sioux Falls. And the main reason we decided to start there, which we had seen about the Falls Park, was because we found out about a place called the Corn Palace, which was kind of a little bit, I don't know if it's exactly halfway, but in between Sioux Falls and the Badlands. We knew we were going to the Badlands, so we were like, do we want to start in Rapid City, or do we want to just start in Sioux Falls and drive to the Corn Palace? So of course we were like, we have to go because it's a palace of corn.
Yeah.
And essentially it was just decorated, the whole outside, and then part of the inside they had like murals all made from corn.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, you've already watched all of the other videos about this trip, so you've actually seen the Corn Palace by now.
Yeah.
It was cool. There wasn't quite as much corn art as I thought that there would be. I guess I thought like the whole inside would also be decorated with corn, and it really wasn't. It was still really awesome, or amazing if you're corny, but you know, I think I would still, I mean, I don't know if it's worth going out of the way to see, but it was pretty cool, you know, and we planned around it, so it's fine.
And it's the only one in the world.
So. True, because why would anybody else have one? But it was still really cool. The whole town also, I don't think we said this in another video, but really the whole town is all about this Corn Palace, because, and corn in general. I mean, I'm sure corn's big, but like the lampposts have corn on them, and I mean, like, corn is chiseled out of the cement, like not actual corn.
Yeah.
But there's just corn everywhere. So it's all about corn in the town, which is kind of funny and cool.
Yeah, it's like this little town.
Yeah.
They also use that place to play basketball in.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And it's actually one of the top basketball venues for like high school or something. I don't know. But we went by there, of course, and then we ventured on to the Badlands. Was unlike anything we've ever seen.
Yeah.
In person. It was very neat. So if you haven't watched the vlogs, you should go watch the vlogs just to see all the pretty sights that we're talking about here, because it was really cool.
Because, I mean, I don't know, you know, I mean, we've been a lot of places, but we also haven't been a lot of places, but, and I feel like the Badlands doesn't get enough credit, because the Badlands was something we kind of heard of, but not really. I mean, it's not Yellowstone, it's not Yosemite, you know, things that everybody's heard of, but everybody should hear of it, because I mean, honestly, it was one of my favorite places we went on the trip.
Yeah, and I don't know if at other times of year it's more crowded, but it really wasn't that crowded.
No.
There was hardly any people that we saw, which we went to a couple different places in the park. And I mean, there were people, but it wasn't anything like Yellowstone. To where we'll get into later, but it took us way longer than we thought. To get around that place. But we went on a couple of hikes in the Badlands. Well, first of all, we accidentally went in somehow through the back road. I don't know. There was no gates or anything.
GPS did it.
Wasn't our fault.
Nope.
But we stopped to take, it was cool because we got to stop. We stopped there because there was literally nobody on that road. We stopped and took pictures. We saw some cows walking around. If you saw the other one video. But
and once we got in there, we went on to a place and bought our national park pass because we're good people. And we needed it for other things. But mostly because we're good, honest people, which we said in the other videos too, I know. But just to reiterate, we are good, honest people. But, I mean, really, the landscape is just so cool, and I don't know if we mentioned this before, but the whole thing is really, it used to be underwater, and you can see, like, different levels in the rocks. Like, you know, when you're in school, you learn about sedimentary rocks or whatever, and you can see the lines that are supposed to tell you, like, the age when stuff happened, and But really, you can see that all over out there.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool because, you just kind of think about the history of the land. Because there's lots of fossils out there, too. And, it's just something that I feel like not enough people really talk about.
Yeah.
And people really should go there.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And like I've kind of heard of it.
Yeah.
And I know they had that TV show, which I don't even know if that was anything to do with that or if that was something.
I don't know.
But
I'll have to look it up.
It's definitely worth a visit. And it's on the National Park Pass, so.
Yeah. So don't skimp on the Badlands.
And if you're going to the Black Hills, it's not really that far.
No.
From there, so.
Yeah.
We went on a couple. The door trail and the window trail are kind of easy.
Yeah.
They're not exactly trails. I guess they sort of are, but once you get out into the terrain, you kind of follow markers, I guess, more than like a trail because it's all just kind of
Rocky.
rocks. But that's really neat to walk all the way out there because then you're kind of
just in the midst
surrounded
of it.
in it.
Yeah. And then we also did the ladder trail. It says on the sign not to do it if it's raining because it can be treacherous, and it is correct.
Yes.
We really didn't think the rain would catch up to us, but
It did.
it did. So we did make it fine, but it was sketchy and terrifying for a minute because there is a ladder in the middle of the trail, kind of, and it's smooth wood, and so smooth wood gets real slick when it's wet.
And we had on sandals.
And we did have on sandals, which we had on sandals most of the trip.
Yeah.
But, we kind of didn't really know. There were a couple times where we really didn't know what we were getting into when we put the sandals on. And so...
Yeah, we didn't really know. They did have a sign at the front of the trail that said you probably want to wear hiking boots, but
right.
We were like, eh. But, like, we got all the way, we went up the ladder all the way to the end of the trail, and it didn't start raining till we came back, and it was raining like the hardest when we got back to the ladder to go back down. And I was the most nervous about falling because there were people climbing down below me, and I'm like, if I fall, I'm gonna fall on these people.
Yeah, because see, when we first started up the ladder, I was like, hey, listen, maybe we should go up one at a time so that if one of us falls off the ladder, we don't take the other one out.
Right.
Well, so that's pretty much what we did because the ladder is you're only actually legitimately climbing the ladder for probably less than half of the total ladder.
Yeah.
Because part of the time the ladder's kind of on the ground and at not enough of an incline to where you're actually climbing the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of went along behind Mal until that part with the steep incline, and then she went to the top, and then I came up behind her. But then when the rain came, it was kind of thundering too, and we were like, we gotta get out of here.
And everybody was like coming down at the same time.
Yeah.
There was us and several people.
I thought, great, this is gonna be great. But we did make it, and just to be clear, we had on Merrell sandals, which are very good for hiking. I know some people will tell you that they are not, but they did not slip at all.
No.
On any surface.
They were very good to walk in and to hike in, actually.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I mean, there were certainly some instances where you should be wearing hiking boots just to more protect your feet and legs. But, really you would have been fine in the sandals. If not, and the rain really didn't have that much bearing because, like I said, they didn't slip. It's just our feet did get a little clayey from the rain.
Yeah, our feet were really dirty that day.
Yeah, our feet got really dirty a couple times because of the sandals.
Mm-hmm.
And we got permanent tan lines from the sandals, but, I felt like that just looked cool, like we've been on that pictures.
Yeah, right. So beware if it looks like it's going to rain, especially if you're on that particular trail.
Yeah.
And the other thing to note about the Badlands is they don't have, like, restaurants and stuff.
Right.
They do have a visitor center, but if if you're looking to eat, you're going to want to eat before you go or when you leave. But then we also went to the Pinnacle Overlook when we were leaving because it's like, it was kind of on our way out, but they said it was pretty at sunset, and it really was. So we went there and took some pictures at sunset. I don't think we did any vlog about that.
No.
About right there, so.
Yeah, we did walk around this little fossil trail too, but I mean it was okay. It was fine, but it wasn't anything. It wasn't like a must-do thing.
No.
So.
But overall, that was a really neat place.
Yeah.
To visit, and we mentioned this a lot in the vlog. So if you want to know more about the wall drug,
yeah,
you can go watch our vlogs because we talk a lot about the wall drug. But you will definitely see 800 million signs for it. It will have you very intrigued if you've never been.
Yeah.
But we would recommend going if it's on your way.
Yeah, if it's on your way, go to it. If it's not on your way, and you've ever been to, like, Cherokee, North Carolina, or Cleveland, Georgia, to the Tomato House, then you've basically been to Wall Drug.
Yeah, like, it's big and there's lots of stuff, but it's not. I guess once we got back to it, because we drove out, because we actually went back to it the next day, because we didn't have time to make it the day we actually went by it. We were like, I don't know if it was quite worth driving an hour just to see it.
Yeah.
But
if it's on your way, you can stop by. They have food and ice cream, and it's a cool little place, and they definitely have plenty of souvenir options, which was, that was probably the best part about it. I mean, we got some, like, Wall Drug specific souvenirs, but then we also found, like, a book for our friend's son, and just a few. And it all kind of depends on what you're into, because there's like a leather goods shop, and there's a whole big bookstore, and
yeah, they got a lot of shops and things, and food options. There, so,
but it's not worth going completely out of your way for.
No,
just if it's on your way, stop there.
Yeah,
yeah.
After that, we made it into Rapid City, which is where I think if you were going on a similar road trip and you didn't want to go to Sioux Falls, starting in Rapid City would be the best option.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of central to, it's like an hour from the Badlands, and then it's closest to the Black Hills. So you could still go to both of those places and sort of centralize in Rapid City.
Yeah.
So we stayed there for a day or so. We went to the Bear Country USA that they had, which is like the only time we saw bears.
Yes, it is.
On the whole trip.
So my shirt says, well, this was our trip shirt. I just found them online and thought they made sense for the trip. But it says, go outside. Worst case scenario, a bear kills you. Because Mallory's mom especially was terrified that we were going to get mauled by bears.
Yeah, my dad was like, if you get eaten by a bear, can I have all your stuff? My mom was not impressed by that.
Then we kept hearing people on various hikes talking about, I was here and saw these bears. Oh, they were talking about seeing all these bears in Glacier while we were at Yellowstone, and Glacier was where we were going next, and I was like, could y'all quit talking about bears?
Right? That's when I told people I was going to Glacier. If anybody that had been or whatever, they were like, watch out for the bears. I'm like, y'all are making me paranoid, but spoiler alert, we saw no more bears.
No more bears after Bear Country USA.
Which that was kind of a neat drive. I mean, it was what, like $18 to $20 something. I can't remember how much it was.
I think so.
A person. But you got to see, we did get to see, lots of bears, and we got to see some other animals too. So it's kind of good for like a family, if you have kids and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
You stay inside your car, so.
And we did kind of feel like, I think I said this in the other one, there were a couple moments where I was getting like a real Tiger King vibe. But then we saw that Steve Irwin had been there, so we felt a whole lot better about it, because I feel like Steve Irwin wouldn't go to a place if they were mistreating the animals.
Yeah.
So, I don't care what PETA says. Also, I don't know if you're in PETA, but our channel's probably not for you.
Probably not. Downtown Rapid City also had the President's Walk.
Yeah.
Which when we went downtown to like eat and walk around and window shop, we saw all these presidents. So we kind of turned it into a game where we would try to guess the president before we read the name tag.
Yeah.
Some of them were obvious, but some of them we were like,
who is that? It's amazing how many presidents that you probably don't know what they look like.
Right, especially a lot of the older ones.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have any idea who that is.
Yeah. But downtown Rapid City was kind of cool too. In addition to the President's Walk, we went to the Firehouse Brewery and Winery. And we did like a wine tasting at the wine place, and all the wines were really good.
Oh, yeah.
And then we went next door and ate at the brewery.
Yeah, I had that, the famous, I think it was something Rachel Ray had eaten. It was like a gumbo thing.
Yes.
It was very spicy, but I liked it though.
Yeah, and this, I made a note here that this supposedly was the first brewery in South Dakota.
Yeah. It's a really cool place. If you're in Rapid City, you should definitely check it out. And especially if you like wines and...
Yeah, and the sommeliers at the winery, I guess they're sommeliers, they may just be people that pour wine, but they also told really cool stories.
Yeah, about the history of some of the wines and things that happened there.
Yeah. Yep.
So definitely recommend. Otherwise, for South Dakota, then we went to the Black Hills, which, if you don't know, is where Mount Rushmore is.
Yes.
So, of course, we wanted to go see that because it's just a famous landmark.
Right.
And we were out there. So we went up, we got up early, and went to Mount Rushmore. It looks in person kind of like it looks in pictures, just bigger.
Just bigger, yeah.
But it did have a trail, though, that walked around closer to it.
Yeah.
Which we did not know until I saw people come. I'm like, where are those people coming from?
Yeah. So we followed the trail, and that was really cool because then you could really see more of the things and you could make more Hamilton references.
It must be nice to have Washington on your side.
And take different kinds of pictures, and then you could read. They had these little like placards along the trail that would tell you more of the history of the monument and stuff too.
Mm-hmm. So that was neat. And then we went over nearby was the Crazy Horse Memorial.
Yes.
Which once they finish it will be like the biggest memorial in the world.
Yeah.
I think they said.
Yeah.
But they've been working on it and they haven't finished it because they won't accept money
from the
government to finish it.
Yeah.
But they're still working on it to this day. They were working on it when we were there. They had like the construction things up there, which by the way looks very scary.
Yeah.
To be on those cranes and things like way up there.
Well, see, and they have so many restrictions. Like if lightning gets within like 15 miles of the site, they can't work because they're everything's so mineral rich. And then they also can't work if it's below zero, and so they actually don't get to work on it as much as they wanted to. So I think their 5 to 10 year plan was to try to finish his arm.
Yeah.
But they're also trying to, so Mount Rushmore has cracked a couple different times, like part of Jefferson's face fell off or something. Was it his that his nose fell off? They had to move him one time, and anyway.
Yeah.
So at the Crazy Horse thing, they're sealing the whole statue as they go, like by burning it, so that won't happen. Mm-hmm. But we had a really great tour guide that told us all this stuff about it.
Yeah, you should go on the tour that they have, the bus tour.
Yeah.
I think it's a couple dollars, I think.
Yeah, but it's not that much, and it's worth it. They take you out closer to it too, so you can see it.
And they tell you all these interesting facts about it. And
then also they have some shops and some, they have a restaurant and stuff, but they also have some shops that have, I'm assuming legit Native American crafts and things that you can purchase and stuff and support the local communities, the local Native American communities, which is really great. Mm-hmm. So we were able to get we got some really nice earrings and some little tomahawks and what else? What did you get?
I got some little pins that had been painted.
Oh, yeah.
They were like stones that had been painted and made into pins.
Yeah. So It was, they had just a lot of really neat gifts that
Yeah.
we try to find some stuff that's not, our parents really like the pretty much like, I went to Mount Rushmore stuff, or I went to Crazy Horse stuff, but we also try to find gifts for people that are off kind of the beaten path, and especially for ourselves too.
Yeah, that are handmade locally and from the area we went to.
Yeah, so we can support local communities as well and have something that's really unique to the area. So check that out too.
So after we went there, I had never heard of this place. I was reading a travel blog when we were planning this trip, trying to figure out where I would go. And they said, go to Custer State Park. So we were like, we're going to go. And we had one of the most interesting adventures, couple of the most interesting adventures of the whole trip at this park.
Yeah. I definitely recommend that you go. I know you've already seen some of the craziness that occurred if you watched the other videos. But it really had so many unique things to it that you probably wouldn't expect just from here in State Park. But like driving on that Needles Highway, I know you saw the video, but I literally reached my hand out the window and touched the wall that I was driving by.
Yeah.
I mean, for a lot of the trip, I was a nervous wreck driving that rental car. But between the road, the tiny tunnels, the bison, so many hazards.
The bison, man. If you saw it, you saw the bison.
Yeah.
They were surrounding us.
Yes.
Which is kind of a cool story. But at the time, I mean, it was kind of cool at the time and also kind of scary because we were like, please don't run into the rental car.
Right.
Because obviously we don't want you to damage the rental car, but also we don't want to get damaged ourselves depending on how hard you hit the car. So we were a little bit worried till we got free from them.
Yeah.
Looking back, we're like, hey, one time we got surrounded by bison. Don't really want to do it again, but
no.
They do offer tours, but we we didn't mean to take a tour.
Self-guided tour.
And there was like nobody else on that road. Like we passed one car and then we saw like nobody. And it actually exits that way through Wind Cave National Park.
Yeah.
Which we didn't know until we were exiting. And we were like, Wind Cave, which is where we were going the next day. But the other thing we did, obviously, was our hike. So that was the most strenuous hike of the trip on the Little Devil's Tower. And there's like, you can see the cathedral spire things, like you walk through those kind of, and then if you take the Little Devil's Tower trail.
Yeah, see, we thought we would game the system because we read both of those trails were great. Well, there's also, like Mal said, there's a fork off, like a hitchback kind of, from the Cathedral of Spires trail to the Little Devil's Tower trail. And the Cathedral trail was moderate, and the Devil's Tower trail was difficult. So we thought, okay, well, we'll game the system, and we'll go up this trail, because we want to see that anyway, and then we'll just switch back and go the little ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, turns out the hard part was after that anyway.
Was the little ways.
So
it was all uphill, boulder scrambling, literally.
Literally mountain climbing.
When you get up to certain points, there's just painted arrows on the rock that say this way. And then we had to put our feet on each side of the rock one time because there was no place to put your feet in between the rocks.
At one point, the closest foothold was probably more than a foot off the ground. So you had to we barely had enough upper body strength to make it in a couple of places. I mean, and it was one of those things to where you have to be in relatively decent shape. Obviously, we're not in peak physical condition, but we're in decent shape enough. And so we made it. We probably just barely made it, but we did make it.
We made it.
And it was freaking awesome.
It was really pretty up there.
You could literally see forever. It really felt like you were on top of the world.
And there were only a few people up there.
Probably because everybody else quit.
Yeah, we didn't really see that many. I don't know if we saw many people on the trail itself. There's a few people at the top. But then it was it was like sunset. So then we had to go back down so it didn't get dark on us.
I always wonder what happens when I see people on the trail and part of the trail and then I don't see them later. Like,
yeah, where do they go?
They turn around and go back or what?
Yeah. But we were very proud of ourselves.
Yes.
For making it. And then the next day, well, I guess because we were already sore from the first day of hiking at the Badlands, even though it wasn't that strenuous, I guess just the climbing, because we do hiking some around here, but
we don't have to climb ladders most of the time.
But my legs for the first couple of days of this trip were so sore, like the tops of my legs, so it was hard to going down. Sometimes is harder than going up,
right?
When your legs are sore, which is weird. But overall, that was a really cool place, and I'm glad that we went.
Yeah, me too.
Even though it was stressful sometimes.
And there's also, the first trail that we did there was actually just the Sylvan Lake Trail, and it just walked around this big lake that they have in the park, and it's just really kind of a nice, parts of it actually were a little bit moderate to me.
Yeah.
It said it was easy, but there were a couple parts where you went up, an incline for a little ways. But it was still, it was really nice, and it, obviously way less strenuous than literally climbing up rock faces and stuff. In sandals.
In sandals.
Did that one in sandals too.
Yep.
Merrill sandals. We're not sponsored by Merrill, but
we're willing.
We're willing to be. Merrill, give us a call.
So we will wear your shoes. I have your hiking shoes too.
Me too. I got sandals in every color. Got the hiking shoes. Got nicer sandals. Got the socks.
We're ready.
We're ready.
Right.
Yeah.
All we have to do is blow up on this channel.
Right? Yeah. So, if you or someone you know work for Merrill, holler at us.
Right. So, after that, like I said, we exited through Wind Cave, but we went to spend the night in Hot Springs.
Yep. We did.
Which was recommended kind of because it's conveniently located, it's close to Wind Cave too, which is where we were going the next day.
And that's the only good thing we have to say about it.
Yep. Now, if you have never seen a mammoth dig site.
Oh my gosh. The mammoth dig site.
So we had seen a mammoth dig site before.
Yeah.
When we went to Waco years ago. But it is really neat to see if you've never seen one. But they have one here in Hot Springs.
The biggest one in the world is there.
We encountered some interesting individuals in this town.
Strange.
Yeah. We didn't get there till really late, and there was literally one place open to eat.
Yeah.
It was weird. The whole thing was weird.
The guy that was running the hotel we stayed at, first of all, acted like, at first, that it was such an inconvenience that he was talking about the Hotels.com pricing stuff, and I thought, dude, this is a thing that you can be mad about, when we're not here.
Yeah, complaining to us about how cheap we were getting the room for, but I was like, little did he know, that was our free night.
Yeah.
With Hotels.com, we got a free night.
Yeah.
And it was that place.
Yeah. But he was just going off on that, and then he calls down to this place and talks to this lady named Mary. Mary didn't even own the place we went to eat. No. She just went there all the time, and the hotel guy knew that, and I thought, y'all know too much about each other.
It's like a very small town.
It was strange.
Of strange people.
Of strange people. Mary was fine. Everyone else was weird.
Now, we only met some people that lived there, so.
Yeah, Mary was normal, but the rest of them were strange. Mary from Hot Springs, what's up, girl? Mary from Hot Springs is probably not watching our channel.
No. But yeah, so it was weird. The place was, the food was decent. We got pizza, I think. It was decent, but it was very strange.
Yeah, the guy kept telling us that he wasn't weird, and I thought, if you have to tell us a bunch of times that you're not weird, you probably are weird. And then he was like telling us all about this mammoth dig site and how we had to go. If we didn't go, we would regret it for the rest of our lives. And I thought, man, we're not going. Now, the one good thing the hotel guy did, me and him were about to have it out if we'd had to stay there any longer. But he did tell us when we checked in, we told him we were going to Wind Cave, and he did tell us we needed to get there early, which we said on the other thing, but we'll reiterate it here. You need to get there by like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Or
you will not tour that Wind Cave.
Because we got there then. They didn't even open
till like 9.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
And we got on like the 10:30 tour or something. So, and that was several tours into the day. And by the time, so we had to wait around, but by the time we got back out and if, people were still lined up and some of those people didn't get a tour.
No. So don't let the time the park opens fool you or the gift shop or wherever you go get your tickets. You need to be there by like 7.
Yeah. And now if you want to send somebody ahead to go wait and get your tickets for like the afternoon or get them for later and everybody else comes so you don't have to wait. But somebody needs to be there at least by 7 a.m.
Yeah.
But the cave was really neat.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen caves. They have caves kind of nearby here, and then we've been to some in like Tennessee.
Yeah.
And places, but we love caves.
Texas. I've been to Texas caves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love caves.
Yeah. Mallory got to tour catacombs in Italy.
Yeah.
Which I guess are kind of like caves. I didn't get to go, but.
It was weird. Yeah. It was bizarre. Graves. There was they had like excavated. They had taken all the bodies out of the ones we went into, but.
Yeah, well.
But this cave, the Wind Cave, I think they said they had only uncovered like
a very small portion of it, but they had uncovered like 157. Let me look at my notes here. I have my handy dandy little trip book here.
Travel book.
Yes, it's very handy. They said that they had uncovered 156 miles of cave off of basically a 1 mile stretch in through there. Because sometimes they'll send people in there and they'll stay for so long, like a week or two, and then they'll come back out and all they're doing is like looking for more cave.
Yeah.
And also, I think it has the largest amount of box work. Wasn't that what it was called? The stuff on the ceiling and all?
Yeah.
Of like any cave.
It was really neat.
Yes, largest collection of box work in the U.S. So named because people that found it thought it looked like the old-timey mailboxes where you like slid the stuff in the slots, you know? Yeah.
Definitely worth it if you're in that area.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure you get there early.
And also, probably take a light jacket because it is like 54 degrees in the cave all year round.
Yeah, it gets cold. It gets cool. It's not cold,
no,
but it's cool.
It's hotter than the blazes outside of that cave in that park.
Yeah.
But in that cave, if you go in June. But in the cave, 54 all the time.
Cold.
Yeah.
So that was our experience in that area.
Yeah.
And really, that was it for South Dakota.
Well, wait now. We left there and went to the Purple Pie place.
Oh, yeah. We did eat some really good pie.
It was very good pie.
Chicken pot pie.
And blueberry pie.
And I had peanut butter pie, I think.
Yes. And it's just a cute little place, and we just found it. We were not going back to Hot Springs. We went the other way. And we found the Purple Pie place, which I think is in South Dakota somewhere. And Wicked Espresso, which is next door. And the Purple Pie place owner, that's his parents that own Wicked Espresso. I don't know how we learn so much about people. It happens to us all the time, but we learned a lot about these people. So they were all very nice people, made some good coffee, made excellent pie. So
yeah, definitely check that place out. Yeah, if you see it. I don't remember exactly where it was, but We'll probably post it in the blog if you.
And it's somewhere close to Wind Cave because we did a little mini hike in Wind Cave. We kind of walked off, but then we didn't see much, so we just went back and left.
Yeah, and that was we did a lot of driving. Yeah. That day, so we were just wanting to go ahead and head on.
Yes.
Into Wyoming.
Yeah.
Where we encountered. Well, the first day, that day, we just went to the Devil's Tower.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Little Devil's Tower. The actual Devil's Tower, which is the first national monument in the United States.
Bam.
Which I had not even heard of it until we started researching for this trip.
Yeah.
So, it's not very popular. It is on the National Park Pass. Also, so if you want to go there and you're driving through that area, you can get in with your pass.
It was cool, and we got to learn some of the history about it, and we talked about that in the other video, but how it got its name and all that stuff. So it was cool to check out, and there were a fair few people there, but it wasn't super busy, so it was neat.
The trail around it's only like a mile, but there's plenty of places to sit.
Yeah.
If you're... we had several people, we saw sitting throughout, and I heard one guy make some sort of comment about how he was not built for this. I'm like, it's really not that far.
No.
Bless his heart, but...
I had to get on to a little kid for littering because people are not paying him any attention.
Yes.
And he was swinging a water bottle and dropped it and just kept walking, and I went. And he turned around and I pointed at it and he picked it up and walked on.
Pick up your garbage, kid.
Yeah. I don't even know what possessed me, but I hate littering.
Right. Drives me insane too.
Yeah.
I'm like, there are trash cans everywhere. Yes. Put it in a trash can.
Yeah. So, and too, on the back side of the Devil's Tower from where you generally park, there was a decent view. Like you could kind of walk out and see a little ways of stuff too. So it's a neat place to check out as well.
And that night we stayed at a really cool place called the Come On In.
Yeah.
It was big. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was a big place.
Yes, it was.
We had in the inside of it, all the rooms were kind of on the outskirt, around the edges.
Yeah.
And they were, you could see all the rooms, I guess. It's the best way to describe it. There was balconies around.
Yeah.
And you could see all the, I know some hotels are like that.
There were doors on either side of the room.
Yeah.
So to where you could walk through hallways on the back and go in. Or you could just walk up the middle of the place and go in.
Yeah. But on the inside, they had these little waterfall things. They had 7 jacuzzis all the way around. They had an indoor pool, which we didn't partake in any of that because we got in late and went to dinner, and then we were I'm tired.
Yeah. They had a koi pond.
Yeah, but it was really neat on the inside.
Some little kids were trying to touch the fish. They looked up at me and said, "Can we touch the fish?" And I was like, "No." And they tried to anyway. So why did they even ask me? Also, why was I an authority on whether they could touch the fish?
Right.
And they had a decent spread for breakfast too. And there's a restaurant not too far from there called the Wyoming Ale House. And we went there, and it was kind of a fairly typical sports bar type of a restaurant. But it was really good. We had some really good food there, and they had all kind of different drinks, and we got right in, and it was I think it was a Friday night or something.
Yeah.
But it was a good place to eat too. But the Come On In, I think there's more than just that one.
Yeah. It just happened to be kind of part way between, where we started and where we were headed, which was Grand Teton.
Yeah.
So instead of driving all day, we thought we'd stop there and then get up and go.
Yeah.
So we didn't have as long to drive in one day. And then, we got up the next day and headed for Grand Teton.
But we did drive part of the way out of the way so that we could go to Independence Rock because we're 90s kids. And what good would we be if we just were that close to Independence Rock and didn't go?
Yeah, right. You got to stop by. It's like a rest stop. Actually,
basically. Yeah.
nobody's like manning it or anything.
No. You just pull up and it's a massive rock in the middle of the road.
Yeah, you can walk all the way around it. There's like a trail, except for nobody had cut the grass in a long time.
And there were snakes.
And yeah, there was at least a snake,
Yeah.
if not more. So we didn't walk all the way around it because
Nope.
you couldn't really see. Like we were afraid something was going to jump out of the tall grass and
Bite us.
yeah,
And we were forbidden to kill the rattlesnakes per the signs.
yeah.
So,
But it, yeah, it's just a neat thing to see if you.
you know, we didn't die of dysentery.
Nope.
So, hey,
Chances are low.
how many times have I thumbs up in this video?
So we made it, the first day we made it to Grand Teton, and we just went over to the visitor center and to Jenny Lake and kind of got the feel for things.
Yeah, we talked to some of the people that work there about whether or not we really needed bear spray or whether that was a tourist trap. I would say that's still up for debate, but, you know, it's kind of one of those things to where you just feel better about having it, even if you don't use it. And it is kind of expensive. Ours, I think, was about 45 or 50 bucks. And you can rent it, but I don't understand the concept of renting bear spray, because if you use it, then what?
Yeah, are they just out the rest of it?
Yeah.
I guess, because of course the chances are low. I think at almost all the parks, they hadn't really had any incidents with bears in a long time.
But is that because people carry bear spray?
Yeah. So I don't know how often people have to use it. It's really more for peace of mind, I guess,
Yeah.
than anything else. Because like we said before, we saw no bears, or the other like animals that we saw, we never really, like we weren't really in a situation where.
I pulled it out one time because a fox was sort of headed in our general direction in the day. And I didn't think foxes came out during the day.
Swipe
So-
or no swipe.
Yeah. So I pulled it out that one time and did nothing. As close as we got to a dangerous animal was when a bird growled at us.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah.
was at Yellowstone.
Anyway, first day at Grand Teton, we just kind of walked around, and that's really what the people at the store told us, was like, nobody's really seen a bear or had to use it, but
If you do,
sometimes there are bears.
right? And we didn't want to be like, you know,
Caught. Yeah.
I think the most afraid I ever was in Glacier, which may have been partially because everybody kept being like, "There's so many bears in Glacier,"
Yeah.
and there weren't as many people on some of the things we did.
Yeah. And also, up until we took the boat tour in Glacier, which we'll tell you a little bit more, we've already covered, but we'll tell you more. We thought, I at least was thinking, that the bears in Glacier were going to be really big compared to any bears we might encounter in like Yellowstone or Grand Tetons.
Yeah,
Turns out not the case.
right.
But
Well, the next day in Grand Teton is when we went. We wanted to hit some of the highlights because we were only there for one full day. So we went to do see Hidden Falls and Inspiration Point, which is kind of the same height. You just have to go further to get to Inspiration Point. It's kind of a moderate height. It depends on your fitness level, I guess, but it's not an easy height to get to either one of those.
also, if you're scared of heights, it's probably very scared of heights. I think everybody's a little scared of heights.
Yeah.
If you're very scared of heights, it's definitely not for you, because the path is probably about 2 feet to 4 feet wide in most places. But in some places, it's really only wide enough for about one person.
Yeah, and especially going up to Inspiration Point, you're on the side of the cliff.
Yeah.
And sometimes in certain points you have to if people are coming this way, you have to kind of stop because you both can't go.
Right.
There's not enough room, and
Yeah.
then there's the other side.
Yeah.
You're looking down into the abyss.
And some people that were braving it, kudos to them for doing that. But they, who wouldn't? everybody kind of wanted to be on the inside track closest to the wall.
I want to be over here.
But that's also made it a little bit harder. But then once we got up to Inspiration Point, we had seen some more people coming out, and they were coming from Cascade Canyon, which in and of itself is about an 8-mile hike.
Mm-hmm.
We were not about to do that because we also did not take the boat across Jenny Lake. We hiked from Jenny Lake parking lot up there. So, but we just kept going, and a couple people were like, oh yeah, just walk about 1/4 mile up there. And then we found somebody else, and they're like, it's about a 1/2 mile up. I'm like, where is it?
Right.
But if you do keep going, an undisclosed, unknown distance past Inspiration Point, there is a place where you will kind of round a curve and the canyon really opens up on either side.
So you can do the whole thing, but we just kind of went there to see the pretty views.
It was awesome.
It was really pretty. It was one of the prettiest views we saw.
Yeah.
So that's definitely worth it to at least walk that however far it is.
Yeah.
It wasn't that far.
Yeah. I mean, taking the boat might have been cool too.
Just had to wait forever.
Yeah. Taking the boat, it saves you distance, but it does not save you from the hardest parts of the hikes to both Hidden Lakes and Inspiration Point. So I feel like a lot of people that came across on the boat thought, oh, I'll just show up and there they'll be. And that's not the case.
Still have to go a ways to get there.
But now, admittedly, it probably would have been easier if we hadn't already hiked like 1.5 miles up there to them.
Yeah. I was going to mention, so that this is when we went to Idaho. Mm-hmm. We actually stayed in Victor, Idaho, because it was actually kind of one of the closest places around to stay, not inside the park. And I think it's about, 30 or 45 minutes away, I think. Yeah. Down the mountain. And the whole area is mountains, really, up in that part of the U.S. But it was a cute little town, actually.
Yeah,
they had a lot of good restaurants. Oh, I broke my pen.
Yeah, they did have some good restaurants. We ate at West Side Yard, which was mostly a brewery. Now, note to anyone going to West Side Yard, when we were there, they stopped serving food at 9. They don't close the place until 2 in the morning, but the kitchen closes at 9.
Yeah, we're used to the kitchen closing. Whenever the place closes, usually the kitchen will close like an hour or 2 ahead of time.
Yeah, but not there.
Mm-mm.
So we barely got in there in time to get food. But the food was good. The beers were good. And then we also ate at a place called Pompano. We ate there for breakfast. It's kind of like a little Mexican restaurant, but they also have breakfast, standard breakfast. And it was really good.
Yeah, I really like that place. And I think one thing to note, I think this is where we also had that barbecue place, isn't it?
Yeah, big whole barbecue.
Is because of the area, because they don't get as deliveries as often, they do run out of things.
Yeah.
And the restaurants. So if you go to one of these places and they don't have things, like the barbecue place we went to, by the time we were leaving, they didn't have barbecue anymore.
Yeah.
Or they didn't have pork. So they will run out of stuff, especially, because, now I don't know, it might be worse during the winter months. So it depends on when you're visiting. But we were in June, and they were running out of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, from all the places, how long it took us to drive everywhere, where we saw, like, nothing, no gas stations, no nothing, like, I'm not surprised that it takes them longer to get deliveries up there.
Yeah.
Just, keep that in mind and try not to, don't be
a jerk.
Rude to these people that are working there, because it's not their fault.
Yeah. And then the last place we ate was this place called Butter. And we went there for breakfast. And they had this breakfast sandwich that had like everything on it. Mm-hmm. And it was so good.
It was good. It was very sweet.
Yeah.
But with the jam.
Yeah. It was cranberry nut French toast with homemade blueberry jam, scrambled eggs, bacon, and Swiss cheese. Mm-hmm. It seems like a lot, but it was really good. So
yeah. So they have lots of good restaurants there. So if you're going to Grand Teton, It's a good place to stay.
Yes.
We stayed in an Airbnb there, actually, and it was in walking distance of all these places.
Yeah.
So it was real. That's the one that was behind the gas station, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had like 3 little cabins behind the gas station. But again, once we got over there, we'd just pull in and park and then just walk around town.
Walk anywhere. And I know it sounds weird to say we were staying behind the gas station, but they were really nice little cabins.
Yeah.
They were really cute, and there was people there the whole time we were there.
Mm-hmm.
People left, people came in.
Yeah, and the cabin was real clean. It was really nice on the inside. You know, we were a little skeptical at first too, but it was all good.
Yeah.
It was very affordable considering. I mean, I know 30 to 45 minutes seems like it's pretty far away. But considering we probably paid a third, if not a fourth, of what we would have paid if we had stayed in Jackson Hole or somewhere right near the park, it's worth it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get rooms, especially around Grand Teton and Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And if you do get them, like when we were able to find a few rooms in Yellowstone, there were some available anyway, but they were $350 or $400 a night, I think.
Yeah, or more. And I think our Airbnb was
less than $100.
Less than $100 a night.
Yeah,
and it was awesome.
Yeah, so you know sometimes, and I know you factor in gas, you factor in this and that, but even still, too, these spaces were our own. Like. We had the little cabin to ourselves. We were just kind of, it was a good thing. So
it's always good to check out sites like Airbnb when you're traveling to places like this, because you may find some really good deals and places that are really nice.
Yeah.
Instead of paying a whole lot for a hotel that maybe isn't even as nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So like we said before, Yellowstone, it takes so long to get anywhere in Yellowstone.
Yes.
I guess in my head, I was thinking, okay, it's not that far from here to here.
Right.
So we should be able to see, no, there's even, like, I don't know, at all times of year, there are so many people, there are so many bison walking in the road.
Yeah.
That you'll barely see a couple things a day.
Yeah, the first day when we got there, by the time that we finally got there, it was probably like mid-afternoon. And the traffic wasn't that terrible that day, but we drove straight up to where Old Faithful was, because of course if you're going to go to Yellowstone, you have to see Old Faithful. So we thought, if we break our leg today, at least we will have seen Old Faithful. So we went there first. We got our park pass. We also got passport books. I don't think we said this before. We may have said it in another blog, but we got these little books that look like passports that have all the national parks in them, or a lot of them. And you can put the stickers in there. You can either buy stickers, or every park just has a stamp. So you can stamp it and it'll also say the date. The stamps have the date on them. So those are really cool to get, for kids or grown people like us. Just to kind of, have a little token of each park you went to. So first day we went in, we got our little stamps. We milled around because Old Faithful wasn't going to erupt for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then we decided that we did have enough time to make it to the overlook. So we hiked up to the overlook, which is a moderate to slightly strenuous hike, especially if you're trying to get up there in a certain amount of time.
Yeah. You're rushing.
Yeah. But then you can look down on Old Faithful, because of course everybody's going to see Old Faithful. So there's a blue jillion people out there.
Yeah, it is hard to find parking at Old Faithful.
That too.
Because it's so popular.
Yeah.
So you will be probably searching for parking for a while.
Yeah.
But it was cool looking down, I think, seeing it from... Yep, I think I was breathing pretty hard when we got up there, but then we sat, we were able to kind of sit and chill for a little bit and then watch it go off. And then we went back down and wandered around the whole Upper Geyser Basin,
Yeah.
which has so many cool looking geysers.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, I feel like people don't talk about how many geysers there are at Yellowstone. They only talk about Old Faithful.
Yeah.
There's like 1 million geysers.
So many.
Also, it tells you don't step off the path because you could like basically sink into the muck and burn to death, which don't do that.
No, do not do that. I heard a report not long after we got back that a girl had went in there trying to get her dog that had went in there.
Yeah.
And she had like all these 3rd-degree burns all over her entire body, and they didn't know if she was going to live. So
Yeah.
don't do that.
Don't do that. Because, see, I didn't even know it was on top of a volcano, which is slightly terrifying if you really sit and think about it, honestly. I don't mess around with volcanoes. But, yeah, but there's so many cool geysers. There's colorful ones that made a lot of smoke, ones that did a lot of...
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's Old Faithful that shoots up really super high.
You can spend hours just at this one basin.
Yeah.
Like if you walk around the whole thing and you really take time to stop and look at each one.
Yeah, because that was all we did that first day. And like I said, we probably got there about, I would say, 2-ish.
Yeah.
And then we just spent the rest of the day there. And you'll see some bison roaming as well. And then we drove out and went to our first stop for spending the night.
We went glamping. We stayed in a teepee in East Yellowstone, kind of outside. I don't remember how far it was outside of the park.
For about 30, 45 minutes, I guess.
Now, the only thing about the place we stayed was it was not near any restaurants. And because of how late it was, by the time we drove into the closest town, the only thing open would have been like fast food, like McDonald's. And
Yeah.
so luckily the people had some like frozen dinners that we could buy, so we did. But it was like an Airbnb type of thing, but it was a teepee.
Yes.
But yeah, it was like glamping, because I mean, they had a bed and they had like a lantern and like electricity because you could plug in a heater.
Yeah.
But I mean, you were kind of outside.
Yeah. And then they had like a bathhouse that had, 4 or 5 bathroom stalls and I think 2 or 3 showers and this really awesome massage chair.
Mm. It was really nice. I didn't think that would be as nice as it was.
Yeah.
The bathhouse thing.
Yeah.
But they had laundry facilities
Mm-hmm.
and like a little kitchenette area where you could buy like frozen dinners and drinks and things, and you could put your stuff in there in the big refrigerator if you had anything. Which we mainly had water jugs, which we can talk about at the end about the water situation. But but it was really cool. It was cool. I mean, especially we were only there for one night, but it was a neat because we'd never been glamping before.
No. So it was cool, literally and figuratively, because
It did get a little bit cold in there.
Yeah, it did get a little cold, and then they also did like a little small breakfast. They had oatmeal and some fruits and stuff. So that was nice too. And they also had cabins at that same place where we stayed in the teepees that you could stay in as well. So
yeah, that was a neat experience.
Yeah. Mhm.
Then we went back into Yellowstone again, and over the next 2, we went 2 more days in Yellowstone. So we spent nearly the better part of 3 days.
Yeah.
We spent the most time there just because we'd heard you want to have as much time as you can.
Yeah.
So we went then to Mammoth Hot Springs, which is another one of the most famous areas.
Mhm.
It's like an inside-out cave.
Yeah. And it took so long to get there. I
Yes, it
mean,
did.
we left in the morning. We probably left about 9:30 or 10, I guess. But by the time we got there, it was not that far to go, by the way. It was lunchtime.
Yeah. So we actually went and got lunch before we went to hike up or walk up to the Mammoth Hot Springs, which we got these really good turkey sandwiches. Or I don't know what yours was. Mine was a turkey sandwich.
Yeah, mine was a turkey sandwich too.
Actually.
Yeah.
It was just a turkey sandwich, but
Yeah, because of course Yellowstone has restaurants and everything inside the park. Now, it did take forever, even longer, to find a parking spot in there. And we saw the line out the door to the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So Mal got out, and I went and drove around and around and around and around.
Yeah.
And finally found a spot right near where we were before, but finally one opened up. And so then we ate our little sandwiches. And we went and walked around, and there's one area that we actually drove through on the way in where you can see some different geysers and just different springs and whatever. And we thought you could see more if you went and walked it. You cannot, and it is not worth it.
No.
It's worth it to drive through, but don't think you can see more if you walk it. You can't.
No. And I thought I was going to die. Because
Yeah.
it was so hot that day.
Yes, it was.
And I don't sweat for some reason. So I think that's why I get so hot. But,
It is.
I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah. I do
So
sweat, so I don't have that problem.
Yeah.
So
So
it's very hot.
don't go walking around through there.
No.
It's not worth it. We also went to the Norris Basin, which is where the Steamboat Geyser is, which is the most unpredictable of all geysers.
Yes.
It could erupt right now, or it could erupt in 150 years.
Yeah. So, you know. But everything around there was dead. And
Yes.
there was a sign in the parking lot that said, if it does go off, it could peel the paint off your car. And I thought, what will it do to us? Why?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know why you can go there.
Oh yeah, all the trees or everything around the whole geyser was dead.
Yeah.
It was very kind
Creepy.
of yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, maybe we should leave now. I
Yeah.
don't want to be here if this thing decides to go off right now.
Yeah. Some people were like, when will it go off? I want to see it go off. And I thought, do you? Because I don't know that I want to be here when it goes off.
No, not based on the surroundings here.
Yeah.
Then we went to the Biscuit Basin in Mystic Falls. This is where we saw the bird
Yes.
and the fox, actually.
Yeah.
We went on this hike to Mystic Falls. It ended up being, parts of it were more treacherous than expected because there was loose gravel.
Yeah. Parts of the trail are more sandy than packed dirt, and
So
that makes it tricky.
Slide.
Yeah. One guy literally slid off the mountain.
We
Right.
thought too that you could
He skidded
climb.
to a halt before he fell off the cliff, but still.
Yeah, like they had the falls, and we thought you could climb down there, or you were supposed to go like the trail went that way. It doesn't.
No. We
So-
all went down there for nothing.
Yeah, and then that's where the dude fell. We almost slid around.
We were hiking with this family. It was a woman, a man, and their two kids, their two boys. They happened to live in the county next to ours at home,
Yeah,
crazily.
it was weird.
And so we just kind of were hiking with them just because we ran into them.
Mm-hmm.
But then this guy and his girlfriend, the girlfriend was real scared of heights, so she didn't want to go out there, which, you know, turns out she didn't need to anyway. But yeah, he got kind of ahead of himself and slid, and we were like, but he was fine.
Yeah,
But it was cool though. And that was a pretty sight.
yeah, that was a nice trail to do. If you want to do that trail, just beware that in places it is easier to fall.
Yeah.
Also, you might encounter wildlife of some
Yes.
sort, like angry birds.
And there weren't as many people in that area. We did this stuff the next day on our last day in Yellowstone.
Yeah, there wasn't nearly as many people over there.
Yeah.
So some parts of that hike, there was just me and you, like when we would get separated from people and then we'd catch up again.
Yeah.
Then we went to also the Midway Geyser Basin, which is where the Grand Prismatic Spring is, and it's this really pretty
Yeah.
spring. It's like all these colors, and you can hike up to the top and look down at it too.
Yeah, we definitely
So
recommend doing the Fairy Falls Trail, which takes you up to where you can see. We didn't go past that point where you could go out and overlook Grand Prismatic, but you really can't appreciate it unless you're up high.
When you're looking at it.
Yeah.
We were up there with a bunch of obnoxious teenagers, but
What can you do?
we were like, please get out of the way. I want to see this.
Yeah.
Stop taking selfies, okay?
Yeah.
I want to take my selfies now.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm always high to take selfies.
But it was very pretty there. Yeah. And then the other thing I have was, we didn't really go to Lamar Valley because we didn't have enough time because it took us way longer to drive through Yellowstone than we thought. Yeah. That's where a lot of you can see a lot of bison and other, like, maybe elk and whatever else. We did not, which of course we saw plenty of bison previously, so. True.
Yeah. And we also didn't see the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, which I guess is in a similar area, but and then for days or nights 2 and 3 of our stay in Yellowstone, we stayed out of the west entrance or the north entrance? The north entrance, I think, in Montana. Was it West Yellowstone?
I think it was West Yellowstone.
It was still in Montana.
Yeah, it was.
But we stayed at a place called the Holiday Motel, and it was really nice. Considering how cheap it was, considering how expensive everything else was in that area, it was a really nice place. The shower didn't work too good, and
the shower was crazy.
We did let them know about that, so we're not saying anything. So hopefully they fixed it by now. But I mean, it was a perfectly nice place to stay.
It was a good and, like I said, inexpensive place considering when you're that close to Yellowstone.
Yeah. And that was also a place where there was lots of shops and restaurants that you could walk to.
Oh, yeah. They had lots of souvenir shops and lots of restaurants.
Yeah.
So.
We ate at the Buffalo Bar, which was really good.
We ate buffalo.
We did eat buffalo. I ate buffalo every chance I got after those that were like all up in the road. I told her, I said, anytime I can eat a buffalo after this, I'm going to do it. So, yeah. I ate buffalo meatloaf there, but they also have this huckleberry lemonade. Huckleberry is super popular.
Yes, it is.
Especially once you get into Montana. It's Huckleberry City in Montana.
So much, everywhere you go.
But there's also a place called Running Bear Pancake House that was good. And then we also ate at a place called Wild West Pizzeria while we were in that West Yellowstone area, and like Mal said, we did some of the shops and everything. So it was just a cool place.
Yeah, West Yellowstone's a good place to look for somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
Nearby.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much.
Oh, we also went to Mountain Mama's breakfast place. It was the only place around that had Starbucks.
Yeah.
And we're not Starbucks junkies or anything, but also we do like Starbucks a lot. And so we thought, hey, while we're this close, but while I was there, I got this mixed meat burrito that had antelope, elk, bison, and wild boar in it. This is why this channel is not for the PETA people. I'm eating all the animals.
All the meat.
And they had a huckleberry turnover.
Yeah, that was good too.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I had, but...
You had part of a huckleberry turnover.
I did have part of that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good. I remember it was good, though. I also remember it was really cold.
It was so cold for some reason.
I don't know why, but that morning it was really cold outside.
Yes, it was.
Because we had to wait on our stuff, and you would go to the window to get it, and I'm like, I'm sitting in the car.
Yeah. Then we took off driving forever.
Then we had a whole day where we just drove.
Yeah.
We did stop at this one place because we had to go to the bathroom. And we hadn't really seen a lot of places to stop. So we pulled over at this. We passed a lot of other parks, like, that we'd never heard of.
Yeah.
It was like National Park or State Park or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we were near kind of one of those, and we saw this little store, so we stopped, and the lady was selling brownies, like homemade brownies, but...
When I tell you this place was in the middle of nowhere, okay, and also...
It was.
This is just a tip. Don't leave anywhere without a full tank of gas. Don't go into Yellowstone without a full tank of gas. Don't leave Yellowstone without a full tank of gas. Like, if you see gas, get gas.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, on that part, too, there was we had literally been driving for so long without seeing anything.
Yeah. So
we're not pull off on the side of the road, people, and pee unless desperation is literally staring us in the face.
Mm-hmm.
So just be prepared. And that place was in the middle of nowhere, and we were like, no offense, lady, but
we're not eating your homemade brownies.
no.
We did get like an ice cream or something because
Yeah.
we felt bad not buying anything since we used the bathroom there.
Yeah, we're those people.
Yeah.
I have to buy something if I go use the bathroom.
Because, like, if you go to a gas station, I mean, usually you're getting gas, so you're like, whatever. Yeah. But when you just stop at this random little store, I'm like,
yeah.
We'll take something, but I'm not taking one of those brownies.
No. And I'm sure they were perfectly good brownies, but I'll never know 100%.
Mm-mm. And, yeah, so then we drove all the way to Hungry Horse, Montana. And this was actually, we stayed at the Beargrass Lodging in RV Park, and it was one of the nicest places we stayed the whole time.
Yeah.
We had 2 king-size beds in our room. And it was like a little cabin looking room, which a lot of the places we stayed were. So we were trying to go for the vibe.
Yeah.
You know, up there. But it was such a big room. And it was so weird because we had those big old beds, 2 of them.
Yeah. And we had like a kitchenette with like a stove, like a 4-person dining table, you know, full bathroom, everything. I mean, it was a really big place. Really nice.
Yeah. Okay, so we went into, that day when we got there, we didn't do anything but go eat.
Right.
But the next day when we went into Glacier, so if you want to see Logan Pass, which if you don't know is where you could drive all the way up to the top of the mountain and see like these really pretty views that you may have seen online.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go specific times of year because when we went, it was not open.
No.
They didn't open. Sometimes it opens in June, sometimes July, sometimes August, but it's only open for a couple weeks a year because of the snow.
Yeah.
They have I don't know how many feet of snow, but it takes them so long to clear it out by the time it quits snowing.
Yeah.
That even
it's
in
like
June.
40 to 50 feet of snow.
Yeah.
I think.
It was not even
I'm going to have a note somewhere.
cleared out, so that we couldn't go all the way to, so we spent all of our time in West Glacier.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to East Glacier if you go outside of the park around, but it takes you, it'll take you a while, and it's also, if you don't enjoy hikes, you want to enjoy Logan Pass, and you also want to enjoy the drive to East Glacier, because it is also on the side of a mountain to get over there. So we didn't go to East Glacier at all, but we did do quite a bit on West Glacier, and we saw another one of the best views of the entire trip.
Yeah, so the first day that we went to, we drove up to the Trail of the Cedars and the Avalanche Lake Trail, which when we had gotten there, they had said, well, you probably won't find a parking spot. You really should have got here earlier in the day. We drove right up and found a parking spot. So it's always worth going up there to look. Don't just assume you're not going to find one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Trail of the Cedars is just like a less than a mile loop around, and you get to see these really awesome cedars that are huge and really super tall.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you keep going out through there, though, there's the Avalanche Lake Trail, which is about 4 miles round trip. 5 miles counting the Trail of the Cedars.
Yeah, but once you get out there, and it was really muddy because it had been raining.
Mm-hmm.
So be prepared for mud and stuff. There were some places where you had to really kind of get off the trail because there was so much mud, like you would have got your foot stuck in it.
Yeah.
But by the time you get there and you walk out and you see the big lake, you're like
surrounded by these beautiful mountains. I mean, it is probably, if not the most beautiful place we've seen on Earth.
Yeah.
It's definitely top 5.
It was so great.
Yeah.
We stayed there for quite a while once we got there.
Yeah.
Before we hiked back. But that one's definitely worth it. It's a must-do, I think, if you're going to Glacier.
Yeah. Now, again, I know everybody's different. The trail was, I would say, easy to moderate. There were parts of it, of course, where you're going uphill for quite a ways, and that was a little bit tricky. And then, of course, the air's thinner up there, too, than probably what, if you're like us, what you're used to. I mean, we're used to having water in our air because it's humid here all the time.
Right.
And they don't have water in their air up there, so that kind of takes some getting used to. But it is so worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, just really save your energy and make sure you can do that hike.
Yeah, because it is.
And there's no other way to get there.
No, you have to do the hike to get to get in there.
Yeah.
And then we also went the next day on to Lake McDonald on a boat tour. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to do the boat tour, you'll want to get there super early and get your name on the list.
Yeah.
Or you might not get on the tour that you want to be on. So it's good if you're doing something else to maybe go sign up for a tour and then go and come back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, because we put our name, I think we were actually waitlisted because most of the tours were full, weren't they?
Yeah, and they said like however many people should get on.
Yeah.
Or, we'll probably make it on, but you might not.
Yeah. So we went and did this other hike that was like a wildflower hike, and it was in an area that had been burned. Mm-hmm. And then we went back and we were able to get on the boat. So we did that tour, and they told a ton of information about the park.
Yeah, like how the lake was formed and all the glaciers. And it was really, I think I like doing tours like that to learn a lot about the different areas. So I would definitely recommend that tour.
Yeah.
But you'll want to get there early and make sure you get your name on the list.
Yeah.
Because they don't do that many
No.
tours of a day.
Yeah.
It was raining while we were on the boat.
And it was very friggin' cold.
And it was cold.
Yeah.
You can go on top of the boat too. You're supposed to take turns. But go up there and take pictures and then come back down.
Some people didn't take turns, and then guess what? They got trapped when it started raining. And then when they came downstairs, they didn't have any place to sit. And guess who felt bad for them? Literally nobody.
Nobody. We're like, well, you shouldn't have hogged the upstairs the whole time. So.
Yeah.
But anyway. One thing I'll mention about Glacier specifically is you have to have a separate ticket to drive on Going the Sun Road, which is the main road that runs through Glacier. You have to get it online ahead of time. You can't buy it when you get there. Mm-hmm. They will not let you in. They'll make you go and buy it and come on your. I guess you can buy it on your phone.
Yeah.
But you have to have it in addition to your park pass.
Yes.
I don't know why, but you do, because I think they only let so many people in.
Yeah.
Or something, and it's good for like 7 days, I think, or so many days.
It's only like $2 though.
Yeah, it's not much, but you have to have it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that until when we booked our room in Kalispell. The lady called me and said, just making sure you have to have this ticket for Glacier. And I'm like, I did not know that, actually. So
good looking out.
Yeah. Well, thanks, lady.
Yeah. And then also, this should come as no surprise, but you cannot take bear spray on an airplane.
No.
You cannot put it in a carry-on. You cannot put it in a checked bag. It cannot go on an airplane. Mm-mm. So, if you're ending your time on your trip in Glacier, you should turn your bear spray in to the park rangers, because then they can use it for training or whatever. And, I don't know, maybe you can write it off on your taxes. Ask your accountant.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a good idea if you still have it, is to give it to the park rangers or...
It was kind of funny because when we went to turn ours in, everybody acted like we were just doing such a heroic deed.
Yeah.
And I was like...
We can't do anything with it.
Right? Yeah.
We can't take it back home with us.
Yeah. Well, just a couple food notes, since I'm the food person. In Hungry Horse, there was a place called Carolyn's Cafe that did a really good breakfast. It's on the side of a gas station. I know people get sketched out by stuff like that, but it was a really good place to eat. They had huckleberry pancakes, huckleberry everything. And then in Kalispell, which is where Glacier's airport is, that's where we left out from. We went there actually after we got done at Glacier because there really wasn't that many places in Hungry Horse that we saw. So Kalispell wasn't far away, and we thought, well, they'll have more places. They sort of did, sort of didn't. But we found a place called Bias Brewing. They had huckleberry ale and these really good daiquiri things. And then they had these like burrito and noodle bowls and all this other stuff. And then the next night in Kalispell, we were staying at a hostel because we were only going to be there for like 3 hours. And
Yeah.
so we went to, there's a place on the refrigerator in the common area called Hops. And they had these really killer burgers.
Oh yeah, they were really good.
Yes. So those were delicious. And then there's a place called Sweet Peaks Ice Cream where I got huckleberry lemon pie ice cream and honey cinnamon ice cream. So those are some places you should check out while if you're in that area too.
Now the Kalispell Airport, we did learn in regards to the rental car, we weren't entirely sure if we could, because the Enterprise Airport is not actually at the airport.
Nope.
It's down the street. And so we were concerned because they were closed because we got there at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
of how we were going to leave the car. But as it turns out, you can leave it in a certain place at the airport and put the keys in a drop box at the airport.
Yeah, so if you're leaving out from Kalispell and your car rental place is not right at the airport, probably check with them in advance because they probably have a similar system. But we were thinking we were going to have to turn the car in. Well, see, also, we thought our reservation only ran through that final day, not the next day, because we were leaving in basically the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I looked at our reservation, it actually ran through a certain time the next day.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to arrange for somebody to pick us up at 3 in the morning and take us to the airport. And anyway, so just check with your car rental company and see what the procedures are.
Yeah. It's easier if you can take your car and leave it at the airport when you're leaving.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to figure out how to get to the airport the next day.
Yes. Yeah.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Overall, which we already said some of this as we went, but so the whole thing with the rental car is if you can pick it up, not at the airport, even though it's easiest to leave it at the airport when you're leaving.
Yeah.
But you'll probably save money doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to get the National Park Pass. Because it is $80 and it's good for all parks, good for 1 year. You can get into any national park and then national monuments. There's lots of things on the park pass because each individual park was about $35+ per car. And you could get some of their passes that were good for a week, but you're going to end up paying more probably.
Yeah.
So if you're visiting multiple parks, definitely get the park pass
Yes.
because it will be worth it
Yeah.
to do that. And then we were talking about getting the passport book that you can stamp at every single place, just to have something
Little souvenir.
to keep. And you can buy stickers or little stamps like we did if you want, but you don't have to because to stamp it with the regular stamp is free in each park once you. And I guess you can stamp if you have another book or whatever.
Yeah.
Just visit the visitor center. The visitor centers do tend to close early at all the parks, like by 4. So you'll want to make sure you visit them earlier in the day, or you may not get in.
Yeah.
We almost didn't get into one of them.
Right.
Because it was almost too late in the day. So
yeah.
Another thing is to rent your rooms way in advance. if you want to stay inside parks like Yellowstone, especially, probably more than a year in advance.
Yeah.
Or you might not get it.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Sometimes you can get things. I think we booked a lot of ours at least 6 months in advance, maybe more. And some of the things there was a place we wanted to stay in Glacier that was already completely booked up. So
yeah.
If you want to stay in any of those places, you need to make sure that you get on that soon. And also, as far as renting the car, I mean, you probably want to do that as soon as possible too, to make sure you can get one.
Yes, for sure.
You will, if you start, especially if you start where we did in Sioux Falls, you will cross into a different time zone.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you plan accordingly. Now you will, if you're going that direction, go back in time essentially.
Yeah.
But just a heads up, you will go into a different time zone.
Yeah, because that was something that we were trying to factor in about, I think, getting to the Badlands, right?
Yeah.
Because it was between there and going to the Badlands that we crossed that time zone. So we were thinking, well, we're not going to get there. The park offices are going to be closed, and then we realized we gained an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So
it can be helpful.
Yeah.
But if you're starting in Rapid City, you probably won't have to worry about the time zones.
Yeah.
But if you're starting in Sioux Falls, you will go back in time.
Right.
Like we said about the bear spray, I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah. We didn't see any bears, but you could see a bear, and, it's kind of like having insurance. You hope you don't need it, but if you do need it, you want to have it. So.
Mm-hmm. As far as other wildlife, just don't approach it.
Yeah.
Don't approach the bison.
No.
They are not very friendly when they feel threatened. Much like bears.
Yeah.
Everybody told us, if you see a bear, just stand still and back off the trail, and then stand still and don't engage.
Yeah.
Or run or...
Right. Yeah.
So just try not to get close to the wildlife.
And just make a lot of noise while you're walking, like hiking and stuff. Like, we saw some people that have bells tied to their packs so that it would always be ringing, because for the most part, they kind of told us, like, if you're making noise and all that stuff, most stuff's going to run away anyway. And so we just tried to, as best we could, just keep talking the whole time, which was clearly a problem. Since we're so quiet and stuff.
Right.
But we just kind of kept talking the whole time, and again, we didn't really encounter that much stuff, so.
Yeah. And, kind of, sort of, not animals, insects. South Dakota has a lot of insects that will fly into your windshield.
Yes.
Our windshield was covered in bugs the entire time we were in South Dakota. It really wasn't that bad in Wyoming and Montana as it was in South Dakota. It was crazy amount of bugs.
Yeah. It was so many bugs.
We squeegeed the windshield like a bunch of times.
Yeah, every time we saw for gas.
There were so many bugs. And they were all over the front of the car, of course, by the time we turned it back in.
By the time we turned it in, I bet they thought, what in the world have y'all done?
Yeah.
There was dirt, bugs.
Everything.
That and the rain those last couple of days, they would have really thought something.
Yeah. We did try to clean the inside as much as possible. Like, like every day, if we ever felt like we got mud, we would try to wipe it off so we didn't leave it super dirty on the inside. But
yeah. The one time when we had a catastrophic cooler accident, we cleaned that up pretty good, we think.
Yeah. So the cooler is another thing. We thought it would be a good idea to have a cooler in the car to keep our water in, but also to keep anything, because we were driving a lot and we were hauling our suitcases around a lot, to put stuff in that we were afraid would melt in the car on the hot days. Also, don't leave your bear spray in the car.
Yeah, don't do that either.
They explicitly said that as one of their rules. Don't leave it in the car.
It gets hot and can explode.
Yes.
Yeah. But we did so we just stopped at Walmart the first day, and we got us a little cheap styrofoam cooler. We got some ice packs and 2-gallon jugs of water. And we got these blanket ice packs. Okay, so That would have all been perfect, except for, oh wait, we also put ice in it the first day.
Yeah, we had regular ice that first day.
Yeah.
Which was a mistake.
Yes. So, I really can't say for sure what would have happened, but the lid slipped off between when we bought the thing and put the ice in it and got to our next destination, which was another gas station. But the lid had slipped off, so had the lid have stayed on, I don't really know what would have happened.
Yeah.
I think it probably would have been okay, but what we did from then on was, we'd already gotten the ice packs too, so anyway, the lid slipped off, the whole cooler leaked, like the whole trunk was wet, basically. Mm-hmm. If the lid had stayed on, I think it probably would have held the ice a little bit. We had problems with pins today. A little better than it did. But I would just recommend getting ice packs because almost every place we stayed had somewhere where you could refreeze them.
Yeah.
So we just bring them in every night, put the water bottle, the jugs of water in the refrigerator and fill them up from wherever taps we had. We just keep those refilled and then freeze the things every night and put those in, and then we just took the beach towel I had brought with me and wrapped it around the cooler and like anchored it in to make sure the lid stayed on. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the time we had no problem with that.
Yeah.
And it was a total investment of probably $10. And we had cold water the rest of the trip.
Rest of the trip.
Yeah.
So that's really handy. And so the other thing I wanted to mention, which you already talked about a little bit, was getting gas. Like a lot of these places, you'll drive for a long time and won't see anything. Mm-hmm. So make sure you don't let your gas get too low. Also, don't always expect to have phone signal. A lot of these places, you will not have phone signal. It can be harder to get your GPS to work, especially inside of these parks, because I don't know that they have like cell towers and things inside.
No.
So they do give you park maps. So that's really how we navigated inside most of these parks, was with the maps that they gave us, because our GPS did not work.
Right.
So just be prepared for that.
But in general, if you are heading to a new destination, just start your trip while you have signal and never stop it. Even if you get out of the car to take a bathroom break or get gas, don't turn that off.
Because it may not come back on.
Because it may not come back on. And then you won't know. Because, of course, normally your GPS will keep running.
Yeah, even if you lose
signal. But if you don't have signal, it will not start.
Yeah. So just keep all that in mind, too, is don't simply rely on your phone. You're going to have to read some actual maps sometimes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's old school.
Practice your cartography skills.
Yep. And that's all. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It was a fun trip. We were tired by the time we got back.
Yeah.
But
we're going to do an upcoming vlog about some of our favorite travel items and things. But we've both been trying to do better about like taking notes on our trips and everything. And I actually found these. I'm going to mention them on the next thing too, but you probably saw me referring to this. This is from Letterfolk. It's called Another Trip in the Books. They also have another hike in the books, another national park in the books. But to me, it really helped me because I'm the worst about keeping my notes and stuff. Mallory does good. She gets to the room every night, writes down all of her stuff from the day, whatever. I'm not always that good about it. But this had enough prompts to where it was so easy. Like it didn't feel like it was going to take me forever to think of everything. So I think this is cool because it gives you like your trip name, summary of events, food worth remembering, and then you have a whole page to make notes. So you can find these on Amazon. Again, we'll link to them in the other stuff. But I recommend that too. So you can do a recap of each day and remember it. You know, even if you're not a blogger or vlogger or anything, at least for your own memories later on down the road.
Yeah.
So take lots of pictures. Be in the moment.
Yeah.
That's advice for every trip. Not just this one.
Don't spend too much time just taking pictures and
Yeah.
being behind the camera lens for your phone
Yeah.
or looking at your phone. But you can't do a whole lot of that on this because you don't have any signal.
True. And one other tip that I'll give, Mallory probably covered this in her packing for this trip video, but we we took more clothes than we needed to, which we always do anyway. But we kind of thought every day we would probably like hike, spend time in the park, so we'd just need athleisure wear or, yoga pants and whatever. And then we took clothes to change into at night to go out to eat and look nice. We hardly ever did that.
Yeah.
And admittedly, we hadn't planned on going to any place super fancy because we rarely plan on going to fancy places anyway. But we really just, every place that we ate, most of the time by the end of the day when we left the parks, it was time to go eat or places would close.
Yeah.
So we really didn't need, we had taken a dress and some nicer tops, and we really barely needed any of that stuff.
No, we didn't.
You need good shoes, you need good socks, and you need layers and a raincoat.
Yep.
If you want to plan something like that, like plan a nice dinner, especially if you're going to Yellowstone for a week, let's say, you probably will have time to do something like that. But we did not. The way we did this trip, it was go, go, go all day, go grab something to eat.
Go to bed.
Go to bed, yeah.
That's pretty much it. We didn't even eat lunch a lot of times.
No.
We'd either eat a late breakfast and then we would snack, or we'd kind of snack and then eat, I don't know,
Yeah.
till dinner. And we were like, we gotta find a good place for dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it starts getting dark at about, 7, 8, whatever. But, you kind of, probably a little earlier out there actually. But, just make sure that your food is, if you take food with you, that it's sealed up really good, because you don't want to have any run-ins with bears.
Yeah, no.
So,
If you're camping, it's a whole different ball game.
yeah. Grab you a hydration pack and take with you. That was always handy for us instead of having to carry a water bottle. I know on some of those hikes you really don't need a hydration pack, but to me, it's hands-free.
Yeah.
It's lighter weight. Just take that.
Yep.
So, I think that's probably everything.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you other tips for general trips and some of our other things.
Yes, stay tuned for more. If you haven't actually seen the vlogs, then go watch the vlogs.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for maybe upcoming vlogs. We're going to try to vlog on our next trip that we're going on in a few months from
Hopefully.
when we're filming this.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have some more vlog content coming soon.
Yeah. So like things, subscribe down here so you can see other stuff. And tell your friends.
Come back and help us get our Merrill sponsorship.
Yeah, for sure. We're signing off for now. Go out there and explore. Worst case scenario, bear kills you. But it probably won't. Especially if you have bear spray. Or even if you don't.
Even if you don't.
Even if you don't.